I made the wrong turn. After I came out of a hammerhead, I was practicing left turn, and the wind was opposite. So I came out, I was supposed to take a right turn. And then I realized what I did, so I wagged out, went out, came, because you can wag out and go out and come back in. And so I nailed the rest of the maneuvers enough to still fly second in there. So.
Hello aviators, and welcome to Aircraft and Aviator. I'm joined by Quinn here, and we are going to discuss this beautiful aircraft. What are we going to talk about today? What are we flying?
Well, this is a early 1940 model Stearman, which is the PT-17 model, which was a primary trainer back in the day. This is where all the young pilots started out flying. This is a 7-cylinder motor, I think 220 horsepower, typical low and slow, strong as an ox station wagon airplane. You know, you can't hardly hurt them.
Absolutely. And what's the typical mission in a Stearman?
The basic training back in the day, you know, but then they started using them for crop dusters, and now they just turned into just a fun time airplane. People do air shows with them and a little bit of everything. What was Brian and them? What was the name of Brian and them's?
Red Baron.
Yeah, the Red Baron group they were Stearman air show group for a long time. So these airplanes can do a lot of stuff, you know.
Absolutely. And what kind of specs are on this airplane? I mean, what kind of specs would you expect? Like, what's the stall speed on this airplane?
Oh, the stall speed on this airplane is probably around 50, 52, 54. They're all a little bit different. You can add certain things to them, but somewhere in that neighborhood, you know.
Okay. And would this airplane be rated for aerobatics or anything like that?
You can do light aerobatics in this airplane.
Okay.
You can let's call them maneuvers.
Okay.
But you can do nothing. This is not a good no high G maneuvers, anything like
Absolutely.
that. But basic stuff, it does very well.
And reverting back to the stall speeds, is there any unique stall characteristics? Is it favor a wing, or is it kind of docile because it's a low and slow?
Very, very docile. This airplane just you can just kind of hold it in a stall.
Gotcha.
You know, it depends. Now, if you got to wind from a certain direction and you stall it, then it may want to tend to break over. But it's just, you know, you just go neutral stick, this airplane's going to start flying again.
Pretty docile.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Now, obviously, this is a tailwheel airplane. Any other special training or rating requirements that would require from the Stearman here?
Basic private pilot. You do have to have a tailwheel endorsement. You're supposed to have a tailwheel endorsement to fly this airplane. And you should have extensive tailwheel training before you go try and fly this airplane. You can trash one of these airplanes pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sad every time we lose a good airplane, much less if somebody gets hurt. You know, we don't like to ever see that.
Absolutely.
I'm not an IA or anything. No, I don't do any training. I don't hold any certificates, but I did a lot of tailwheel training over the years. Guys that were flying stuff that there wasn't, where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of tailwheels.
Yeah.
And I had one of the few tailwheels, so I used to train a lot of guys tailwheel.
Okay.
It was pretty interesting. You know?
Yeah, tailwheels are fun.
Yeah.
I have a couple myself. So
it's an unnatural feeling to have to shove that stick forward when you land, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's easy to pick up.
How many Stearman are active? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. That's a good question. I was talking to Mark a little while ago. He could probably answer that question. I know there's quite a few.
Sure.
Because they were built for the Army and for the Navy. Probably, I mean, for the Air Force. So there's still quite a few left. These things are so low and slow. They didn't get trashed as bad as like the Corsairs and the Mustangs and stuff. When you wreck a Mustang or Corsair, there's normally nothing left.
Yeah.
The Stearman, you crash this thing, you pretty much can put it back together after 1,000 hours of work. You know,
absolutely.
Just the way they pretty strong.
Absolutely. Where's the most favorite place you've taken this aircraft?
Flying around here is pretty amazing.
It is.
It's hard to beat, you know, the scenery flying around here. I like I'm a grass strip pilot. I like flying, so we'd take off and we'd go to the country and fly up toward Defuniak or whatever. I'm from Louisiana. I used to have a 4,000 foot strip at my house, so I've got a lot of time on grass strips. So this airplane loves grass strips.
You can't beat a tail wheel on the grass, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Absolutely. So Quinn, how long you been flying?
I started flying kind of late. Actually, I started flying probably in my mid-20s.
Okay.
I went to work right out of high school at 17, so left my daddy's house with nothing, and so I didn't have any money to buy an airplane for sure. You know, I was around airplanes before that. My uncle was a crop duster in Washington, Louisiana, so I'd go out there a lot. But a guy called me one day. I guess I was in my early 20s, and he said, "Hey man, this guy's got an airplane at his house, and he said he don't want it. We can have it." So I pretty much figured it was an ultralight. So we went over there, and there was a big antebellum home, 3 feet off the ground, and it was shoved underneath this house. So we pulled it out, and the fabric was still good, and we brought it to his house out in the country, put it all together. I cleaned the motor up real good, took the carburetor off, cleaned the carburetor, changed the fuel lines and stuff. We got it started, and so 3 of us were standing. I had it tied off to a tree, and we were running. I ran it a long time. The motor never hiccuped, So I turned it off, and then the 3 of us were sitting there looking at each other, and I said, well, nobody was saying nothing. I said, get out the way, I'll go. I'll fly it. So I just took off in it out of a cow pasture, and I literally kicked the treetops on the fence line coming out, and so I flew the heck out of that little ultralight, and saved some money, and then I bought a better one and flew that quite a bit. And long story, I bought a 152, and I flew that.
Now, obviously this is a beautiful aircraft. What's been your most favorite airplane to fly in your career of flying?
I flew an RV4 for a long time. I probably put 800 something hours on that airplane. I flew it all over the country. I loved that airplane. I have a North American AT6 that I fly. We do a lot of formation flying and stuff. We'll fly tonight. Yep. We do a little maneuver over the harbor here on Thursday nights. I have a Glass Air 2, a Super 2S.
Beautiful airplane.
Yeah, I go back and forth to Louisiana, and that it's fast, and it's fuel efficient, and it's but flying by myself, I can make it to Louisiana in an hour and a half, so it's pretty neat.
Very nice.
I have a Lance Air 4PT with a Garrett turbine on it. That's whole different ball of wax.
Sure.
Very, powerful airplane, very dangerous airplane. We're putting a brand new panel in it right now, so I'm anxious to get it flying. But just sold a little Super Cub. That was fun to fly. I like flying that tail wheel stuff, the old vintage stuff like this. This airplane, I don't nearly fly it enough. Matter of fact, today's a good, excuse to go fly.
Absolutely.
So self-taught. Bought a Pitts S1E years ago, and never been in a Pitts in my life, and so you
just figured it out.
I just got in it and took off and taught myself aerobatics, and I flew my first competition in that little airplane, and I flew second in that competition out of 12 guys, and I zeroed out my first 3 maneuvers because I made the wrong turn. After I came out of a hammerhead, I was practicing left turn, and the wind was opposite. So I came out, I was supposed to take a right turn, and then I realized what I did, so I wagged out, went out, came, because you can wag out and go out and come back in, and so I nailed the rest of the maneuvers enough to still fly second in there. So pretty much self-taught pilot. The T6, same thing. I bought it, brought it here, went around the pattern twice with a guy, and then he got out, and I've been flying it ever since.
What got you into aviation? I mean, what really drives you to still just every day, want to go out?
I'll just, like I said, from since I was 14 to 15 years old, I was around those airplanes. I washed airplanes, do whatever I could to get a ride, and did all that. And you know, I knew as soon as I could afford to buy a little airplane, I was gonna and get my license and go, you know, and go fly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, the kids out there today, you know, if you're interested in flying, it's not out of the realm. It's not as expensive as you think. Go to your local airport, go hang out, go help them wash the airplane, go watch them change spark plugs. It's simple stuff to learn. If you're any mechanically inclined at all, go do it. Go mow some grass, save you some money.
Absolutely.
Take a flight lesson here and there. If you go and you know, we got kids come here all the time, and we take them riding.
Yeah.
You know, we want them to be interested. We want them to learn.
It's like the old saying. They say if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hang out at the airport,
and
you'll learn to fly.
Same thing. But you know, you can take lessons. You know, and it's not that expensive. You can do it a little bit at a time. Especially go find a little cheap airplane and buy it.
Yeah. You
know, and you don't have to pay, you know, airplane rental, which is what eats a lot of people up.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that.
Yep.